Welcome along to EXFL Tier 2 Season 12. We're back. We're here for round 9 out of 20. It's the Austrian Grand Prix, and we're here in the Styrian Hills for the next chapter of this season. We've got 14 drivers at the moment, still awaiting one or two more, the likes of Louis to join the Alpine. He's just currently struggling with Wi-Fi issues. And also Christian to join the McLaren. He's struggling with Xbox issues. So I don't know if we will see them. But shortest lap time on the entire calendar. Longest amount of laps, or joint longest on the entire calendar. And at the moment, after the first cycle of the game, when we had the first season, the only track where a two-stop is probably the best strategy. Brazil was also a two-stop, at least last season. In the first few months. Should be a one, so this should be the only track where a two-stop is viable. If anyone dares try a one-stop, then maybe it'll work out, but we'll see. It's a dry, very sunny qualifying, and I'm being told it's also a dry race, so that means 9 out of 9 races, we have not seen a single drop of rain so far this season. Next week marks the halfway point of the season. The British Grand Prix, one of the biggest races of the season. Maybe we'll get our first drops of rain then. But for now, 18 minutes ahead of us to see who's going to take pole position around Spielberg. We've been riding on board with Dead Gun so far this lap. He is going to set the first lap of a 1 minute 7.6. Looked like a bit of a scruffy lap from him, and I'm sure that will be beaten. We've got Cal, 45.3 in the middle sector. Final sector is literally just these two right-hand corners to worry about, besides the left and right-hander just before, I guess. Cookster, 4.9, and Cal goes half a second behind. We've got Will, who's just crossing the line there. Don't know if he's going slowly there. He may have made a mistake on the exit, but he pops his car up into P2. We've got the Aston's Dead Guns off there at turn 1, letting cars go through. That was Callum just beginning his run. His teammate Oren, World Championship leader in Tier 2, 120 points, 30-point lead ahead of Samurai, who's currently doing his run, 16.4 in the first sector. Oren finishes the middle sector split, 44.9. He's got a bit of traffic in his way, however. The RB of, I believe that's Yannick, who's on an outlap, who's about to prepare for his first flying lap, gets out the way of Oren. He'll finish his first run, keeping it just within track limits. Grush now goes to the top with a 4.7, and then Oren, by 0.3, goes to the top with a 4.4. Oren, who has done well in the past here around Austria. It's all going well for him at the moment, and I think the big question today is who can stop him. Grush, who showed some promising pace in qualifying this season, he's definitely been one of the best, most poles of anyone. 3 poles, he's on the back of back-to-back poles, and if you can get it today, then that's 3 in a row for the McLaren driver. But unfortunately, he has not converted any of them into victory. He came really close last week with his best result of second from pole, with Seb in between them, who's Seb? Yeah, he is. In the Mercedes, who unfortunately got that last lap puncture and all that drama that gave Samurai a few extra points. As he's just going for another run like he always does. Oren has mainly pulled away just because of how much all the others are squabbling and whatnot. There's Louis. We got Samurai, we got Toby, who checked in as saying he wasn't going to race today, but he's racing, so that's good. We've got Samurai and Toby and Grush as the main 3, I guess, that are going to take the fight to Oren. And Cookster's up there in 3rd still, so that's good. And you may have noticed, Jigsaw Dragon, or Ridian, is back after, quote-unquote, leaving the league only a couple weeks ago to return as a reserve today in the Mercedes alongside Seb. He's up in 4th at the moment. So, good to see him back. Pretty short break. I'm sure Josh, Dello, and... who was the other one? Josh, Dello, and Finn. I think they're... time in the league is up, at least for now. But Ridian up fractionally in his first sector. Samurai managed to go 5th in the end there, so Louis got in his second Alpine, 15 at the moment, so it's all down to if Christian can join. He had issues last week. There we go. Cool. Can you invite me? Right. Let's see if Christian can join. He's in the main menu. There you go. So, first round of laps has been set. Yannick about to cross the line in the RB. Way off the pace, so he'll have to go again. Chaz F1, who was on the front row last week, goes fastest and continues his very good qualifying streak so far. He's out of... So this is round 9. This is the 7th race in a row he's entered. And I just told him before we went into qualifying, after today he will be fully promoted to that Ferrari seat for next week's British Grand Prix, his home Grand Prix, because he deserves it. And as much as he had 5 DNFs in a row last week, as Yannick gets a grid penalty for a collision with Grush, that's going to really upset his qualifying. Do not know what happened there. But he's got wing damage on the left, so either one of them wasn't paying attention. But yeah, Chaz, as Oren's invalidated, finally ended his DNF streak last week, getting P7. He started P2 on the front row. It was a strong effort, made a few mistakes, but he's getting there bit by bit. And at the moment, yeah, 4.3. He's set the pace. He's taking the fight to Oren, which is cool to see. So he's the one who currently leads. Ferrari, who have not had the greatest of seasons in the last few. It's not like their glory days back in season 5 and 6 when they were always fighting for championships. I think in the last 5 seasons they've only really had one mini spell, which was season X with Sam L and Chubster when they won the constructors and whatnot. But especially on this game, they have certainly not been able to achieve that much. So it's good to see Chaz there bringing it up to the front. So we have Will in P7 finishing his first sector split now. He's a second down. We've got Cal in the middle sector. He's sandwiched by the 2 Haas cars as Toby, the other one, is facing the wrong way. He was up, well, I know he was down by 68 thousandths, and now he's had a spin, cutting the daisies across the grass. Yannick saying people are forgetting how to let him through, so it seems like it was Grush who didn't see Yannick coming, and unfortunately Yannick's the one who's had the grid pen, as Toby's still getting out of people's way. But apparently Grush was saying he was well out of Yannick's way, so a little conflict there between the two. Everyone's technically got a time on the board apart from Louis, who's finishing the first sector split now, 16.008. As he heads up the hill into turn 3, gets on the power, will open the DRS and blast his battery to turn 4. Only, was it 9? There we go, there's Christian. I keep forgetting if it's 9 or 10 corners around this track. But it's the least amount of corners, certainly, as it's obviously the shortest lap on the calendar. And I'm actually going to do something that I rarely ever do. I'm going to check what the all-time lap record here is in the league. Usually I always only realise it after the race. So, qualifying fastest lap track record around Austria is a 1 minute 3.5. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing that. That was set 9 seasons ago. So clearly on a different game. We are... If we get into the 3s, that'll be a bit surprising. But yeah, considering this is the shortest lap time, I'm sure these laps will be a bit closer to Tier 1, considering there isn't really that much to lose out. But yeah, at the moment, Chaz still leading out. Oren's still in the pit lane, followed by Grush and Seb, who went up to 4th a few moments ago. So that's both Mercedes in the top 6. Samurai crosses the line, and he now goes to the top. Chaz was 98 thousandths ahead of Oren, and now Samurai is 98 thousandths ahead of Chaz. Great lap from Samurai with a 4.2. Game on. Right, what about Callum, the second Aston Martin at the moment? Aston, who have taken the fight right to RB after they had a bit of a change. Obviously, Finn leaving. Yonder's back in the team now full-time. And... while the drivers' standings, the championship fight has taken a bit of a pause as Christian's left again. The constructors is heating up a little. I'm going to invite Christian again. There we go. Right, Yannick begins his first proper run after being 15 seconds off the pace. Into turn 1. Takes a reasonable amount of curb. DRS open. Up the hill. And just blasting the battery, as you can see, on the steering wheel. Gets down to about 65%. Heavy braking then into turn 3. Slightly misses the first part of the apex, but gets on the power with the DRS. And with these shorter lap times, every little mistake just punishes you a little more than the likes of tracks like Belgium and Singapore and Baku, the longer circuits where there's so much time to find. And I believe Chaz has just done another lap to be within 5 thousandths of Samurai's time. So he found an improvement, but it wasn't quite enough for a position improvement. But still, good lap from the Ferrari. Yannick continues on then with his second sector done and dusted. And now he's just got 2 corners to go in the white RB. Slides it through turn 8, round the final corner. Has kept it valid. I'm sure there'll be time on the board for him. He has a 5-place grid penalty, and he's currently P10 as it stands. Meanwhile, his teammate Yonder, who has started every race he's done this season, pretty much from the back. We'll see if he continues that. He's invalidated, so I'm going to guess that will continue. But we'll see how far Yonder can go up the order. So far this season, he's got it up to 7th, 5th, and the podium on multiple occasions, so we'll see if he can repeat that. So, 5 thousandths then between the top 2 with just under 5.5 minutes to go. Do not discount Oren, who's only within 2/10. I'm sure he can go quicker. Grush as well. Cookster, is he just beginning a lap? I believe so. He's blasting his battery into turn 1. Goes the Red Bull. His teammate Deadgun down in P14 at the moment. But yeah, Alfie continues to climb up the hill then, and the first sector split, 15.8. He's found just over a tenth and a bit. Slight hesitant turn into 3. But it looks all good now on the straight, blasting quite a lot of his battery. You can see it's already down to 30%, if even that, nearly 20. But he's really flicking the wheel into these corners. The back end not loving it. Through 5, dashing into 6. Now you can really see how kind of almost unnatural that Red Bull looks when he chucks the car in. But he's up nearly by a tenth, so he's actually lost a little bit. And he's invalidated for good measure on the exit of turn 8, I believe. Yeah, a fractional bit of improvement would have seen him past Grush. And maybe on what he was currently doing could have been put him 3rd. But it's good to see Cookster's in the mix. There's a bit of a gap behind him to the 2 Mercedes, as most are in the pit lane gearing up for their final run. However, Will's out there on a lap with 2 corners to go. The lead Haas at the moment chucks it round the final corner. Currently a whole second off the pace, but he crosses the line. It's looking like a good lap. And it puts him P3 with a 1 minute 4.3. He was saying in the chat something like, I think, Oren's time, a 4.4. And he put a skull emoji next to it. But he's just gone ahead of that. Great lap. Probably. But, yeah, that's pretty close. And good stuff from the Haas. Toby, who had a mare last week in Spain. He wasn't running too badly in around 4th at the start of the race, but he ended up finishing 11th. No points for what was runner-up in the championship at that point, and that was the big moment that let Oren get away with it. Grush, however, then got promoted up the order, and now he's currently on a run. He usually does fuel himself for 2 runs in the final run, so this will be run number 1. He's found a 1/3 of a tenth in sector 1. He needs a 1/4 of a second and just a bit more than that to get a 4th pole of the season. So into turn 4 then, the Chrome and Papaya looking McLaren looking to maybe make it 4 cars within a tenth of one another. As we still have yellows. There we go. Just over 2.5 minutes then. We'll see the rest start to exit the pit lane. Grush is up by just over 2/10, so it's going to be close as long as he keeps it within track limits. If he can find just over half a tenth, then Grush could just pip Samurai. It's going to be close margins like we are used to here in Austria. Round the final corner goes the McLaren. Beautiful lines for Grush as he crosses the line. It's a 1 minute 4.013. We are nearly into the 3s, and that was a perfect last couple of corners to propel him a further 2/10 than what we were thinking. Grush has set the benchmark with a 4.0. Come and catch him. Who can beat that then? Oren's still in the pits. Chaz and Samurai... Oh, he's exiting now. Chaz and Samurai on their outlaps. Is Will going again? Well, if he is, he's off by a tenth or two. And around this track, that's very difficult to find. So Cookster has cooked up a pretty good first sector in the 7s now. He's up by 2/10. So if he can keep it together this time, not invalidate at the start of sector 3, maybe he could be on for his best qualifying in Tier 2. I believe he's never started in the top 4. He may have qualified 5th once earlier this season. So right now, as far as things go, he's having a pretty good quali. However, there is a McLaren right in front of him, trying to get, well, not trying to get out of the way, and that is Christian in the way of Cookster, and that has completely ruined his lap. Oh, the whole field in a McLaren sandwich, and right at the bottom, someone not checking their mirrors. Or, it's not on a lap, he's invalidated, so that is really ruined Cookster's opportunity there. That's so disappointing, as Yonder will start the race at the back. Oh, that's really annoying. The Red Bull at the Red Bull Ring, wanting to put on something special. It was 6,000s, actually. But, yeah, at the moment, you better get going, otherwise he's going to get disqualified and start at the back. As the final lot begin their final runs, the Samurai has pulled into the pit lane. He was down in the middle sector. Is this the end of qualifying then? For Samurai, it'll be the front row at best, and it'll be the second row at best for Will, as Oren now embarks on his final run. One of the only drivers who can deny Grush pole position here in Austria. It's a 15.8 in the first sector for Oren, meaning Cookster really could have done a great lap. What about Chaz F1 then? He's invalidated his run. Still got yellows because there's an Alpine who's gone off. I think that's Cal's retired car in P11, so we can't see how long's left of the session. Chaz spins it over the line then. He's done. So only Oren, I think, in the top 5 can challenge Grush for pole. Is Grush going any quicker? No, he's down. So it's all down to Oren then. He's up by just over 3.5 tenths. He needs another half a tenth and just a bit more in the final sector to deny Grush. Oren, who's had 1 pole to his name in the opening round of the season in Australia. He comes here to round 9, championship leader in very comfortable position. And round the final corner, up to the line. He loves it here in Austria. Across the line for Oren. He's just missed out by 0.03 of a second. And Grush is on pole position unless anyone else can deny him. Cookster's out there again, but he's way off the pace, unfortunately. Cookster really could have maybe got pole position. And that's so disappointing to be impeded by the one guy who hasn't even set a time in this session. And I think that is it. Grush then is on pole position for the 4th time this season. It is 3 poles in a row for Grush, and can he maybe 4th time round convert that into victory? Oren gave it his all right at the end, just missed out. Samurai and Chaz will be on the 2nd row. Will is a top 5 start for him, like it was in Italy when he was on the front row. I think the big story there is what it could have been for Cookster. He was really cooking until someone forgot to check their mirrors. That's so disappointing for the Red Bull. The fastest first sector I saw from anyone as well, so clearly it was looking good. Yannick with that 5 place will start P14, so an RB 14.15. So that promotes Toby up to 9th, who's really not having a great last couple races. Look at that. Look at Ridian, Yannick and Toby, by the way. 1,000th separates those 3. Wow. And yeah, Callum will be 10th. The other Cal will be 11th and whatnot. Jeez. Ridian saying he missed the line. Yeah, no comment from Alfie at the moment. I think he's typing, but yeah, that is annoying. Anyway, formation lap time. 36 laps ahead of us. We're going to see what tyres people have started on. If anyone has started on softs, might not even be that bad of a choice with the 2-stop, but that does mean they'll be pitting very early. Right, let's get rid of that. Not that. Here we go. Right. So, of the top 10, everyone's on mediums apart from Cookster. He's on the hards. Cow and Poisonous Gold have also decided to choose the hards. Same with Dead Gun. Yannick is the only one who started on the softs. And the 8th and final row of Yonder and Christian have gone for the mediums as well. I'm going to assume that's Toby's friend, who has seemed to join the last few times. I'm not going to lie. At the moment, Toby may need a race engineer, because starting 9th, he's got a lot of work to do. And as that's Chaz and Will who have been disqualified, those two are obviously... I think we're fighting 5 years ago, 10 seasons ago in Austria with Owen Miles. And obviously the season before that, the first ever Austrian Grand Prix won by Chaz F1, his first ever win in Tier 2. He's going to start the season 12 Austrian Grand Prix with colder tyres, considering those two are now stuck on the grid. So what happened? Apparently Will's got a glitched MFD, or it's broken, I don't know. As we've lost Ridian and Callum now, so that's 4 people in the top 10. At least they're all on mediums, so they're not completely going to be stranded. But yes, Grush and Oren will make their way onto their P1 and P2 spots. Oren takes to his spot first before Grush. Grush is pointing straight forward, as is Oren. What can Samurai do from 3rd? We know his tyre wear is always trying to be improved, and he's going to need it today. And we'll wait for the final few cars to get on the grid. And we'll gear up then for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. 16 cars in place then. They're all in a McLaren sandwich. Who can stop Oren today? At the moment, Grush is on pole for the 4th time this season. Hasn't converted it yet. Will he do it today? It's lights out and away we go. At Austria, it's Grush versus Oren into turn 1, and the McLaren has held off the Aston Martin. Bit of lag there with the Ferrari and the Mercedes with Seb and Chaz. Will and Chaz going side by side. Chaz just stays in front of the Haas. Then the 2 Mercedes. Then Cookster, who's lost a place. Toby stays where he is. Then Callum still where he started, fighting away with the Haas. Into turn 3. Down the inside goes Oren. I think he may have even cut the corner. So Grush stays ahead with the momentum. Looking further back. Close side-by-side action there, 3 wide nearly, with one of the RBs as Yannick has nearly made up all the places he lost with his 5-place grid penalty. Looking further front, Oren trying once again as Will dives it to the inside on Chaz F1. Those two gearing up even on the formation lap when it began, and Will has got the place on the Ferrari. Late dive from the Haas, and his teammate Toby is up to 6th place, gaining 3 positions as Cookster stays where he is, but now loses a place to Seb. Overtakes everywhere you look on this opening lap. Christian has gained 4 places, make that nearly 5 as he's side by side with Ridian, who stays in front for now, as that's Yannick up to P8 now. So biggest gainer so far, using those softs to great effect, is the RB as Christian now lets Ridian through, and that's the 2 Alpines right at the back. As it's Grush from Oren, Samurai, Will up 1 place, Chaz down 1 place, Toby up 3, Seb down 1, Yannick 6 places gain. Brilliant stuff, as that's his teammate Yonder, who's fighting away with Christian for P12, as that is the lead. Swapping hands, Oren on lap 2 is ahead of Grush, and Samurai close behind. So Oren trying all the way through lap 1 to try and get past, as Deadgun has a 10-second for cutting the corner, and now he's out. There's been a big crash at turn 3, and we have a virtual safety car because of it. And wow, there must have been, someone must have done an Antonelli or something, missed their braking spot. I'm not too sure. There was action everywhere throughout the field. It was hard to keep track. Oren must have sent it 2 or 3 times on the opening lap to try and take the lead, and on lap 2 he's got the lead. And maybe he used all his battery, but with this VSC he can now save that back up. So very chaotic start to the Austrian Grand Prix. Deadgun did get a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting, meaning I really hope it doesn't mean straight line, but that must have meant he went across a certain corner, and I can only think of turn 3. where that's physically possible. Yannick is going into the pit lane. Interesting. So under virtual safety car, where it could be a 2-stop race, he's getting rid of those softs early doors. We'll see if this pays off for him later on. And with the VSC, the most important thing is to make sure you do not speed when we resume racing. So what happened to the 2 Alpines? Louis not even in his car at the moment, I don't think. So while the VSC's carrying on, I'm going to quickly try and invite him. Yeah, do not know what happened with the 2 Alpines. Now, who can catch who napping when the VSC ends? And that's Toby and Seb with drive-throughs. So 2 people did get caught out as Chaz is fighting Will. And down the inside is Grush trying to maintain his position ahead of Samurai, who's trying round the outside. Chaz is ahead of Will. And Samurai to the inside. Can he get Grush? Down the inside goes the Williams, and Grush has dropped from 1st to 2nd, now to 3rd. Samurai's up to 2nd, and the top 2 in the World Championship are 1 and 2 in Austria. So, Chaz got ahead of Will, who is sticking close to the back of the Ferrari. Toby and Seb have got to serve their drive-throughs soon. Seb doesn't have to follow the actual line, but he does anyway, so fair enough. As, yeah, both of them are serving their drive-throughs immediately. That'll promote Cookster up 2 places to P6, and to add salt in the wound, Toby has unfortunately sped when serving his drive-through. So, as we resume action, Samurai is now going to fight his way past Oren. Samurai to the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. 3 different leaders in 4 laps. And can Oren fight him back? As Samurai trying to pull over to the left and trying not to give Oren any sort of slipstream. He's parking it in the middle of the track. He knows he doesn't have to because Oren is too far behind for a move. And yeah, you'll get the momentum and hold it onto it. So, Will struggling to keep within a second there of the top 4. But at the moment, all the top 8 are nose to tail. Yonder is now 9th. Yannick. Oh, yeah, of course, he pitted, didn't he? So Yonder's already up into the top 10 after a few pit stops and whatnot and drive-throughs. And, yeah, push us a little more. He'll be with that train for the top. So if we put it to leader, Yannick's only 15 seconds off the lead. When everyone pits, he will be the net race leader. And if everyone has to pit for a second time, who knows? We'll see what Yannick can do. Just keep him in the back of your mind while he is in free air, closes up to some drivers. Louis still not in his car, so he's about 7 seconds off the next car. Oren gaining in the slipstream of Samurai to the inside. Goes the Aston Martin, thinks better of it, switches to the left, tries to get a better exit. Cookster now fighting away with Will. Will switch back the Red Bull and gets back in front. Oren closing up to the back of the Williams in the slipstream, goes to the left as we see Chaz and Grush watching this behind. The top 2 in the World Championship, side by side. Oren goes round the outside to retake the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Great move from the Aston Martin. Game on with the top 2, and Will still managed to stay ahead of Cookster. In a few laps' time, I'm sure Cookster will have the best tyres of the top 10, being on those hards. Callum up to 7th and Ridian up to 8th, while all the drive-throughs and pit stops were happening as well. We could be in for another 30 laps of this. As, yeah, Oren's not pulling away from the rest. It's very difficult to do, and look how close the top 4 are. Chaz trying to move on Grush into turn 1. They have to really be careful on the brakes to not run into the back of the other cars. And let's have a look at battery. Grush is pretty low. Chaz will see him flashing, and Samurai overtakes Oren as we head into turn 3. And Grush late on the brakes to the inside of Oren, slightly tags him, and that puts him on the back foot to put Chaz up into 3rd. And now Grush drops to 5th with Will also taking advantage of Grush's mistake, and Cookster too. Here comes Cookster with Christian getting a penalty, and can Grush be losing 3 places in the span of 2 corners as Cookster on the power is fractionally in front of the McLaren, who's just going backwards in this race, unfortunately. Cookster up to 5th now. Grush trying to fight his way back through, but can't. So yeah, that just looked like a bit of a do or die, because Chaz was putting him under pressure, so he had to brake later, as that's Toby, unfortunately, off turn 4. So I think Grush was kind of pressured into braking later, broke too late, hit Oren, and that put him on the back foot on the exit of turn 3. So, another lap, another swap probably for the top 2. But Chaz is keeping them keen, same as Will. And right now, I think it's time pens and warnings that they have to watch out for. And now the whole train might be separated because Will has lost DRS to the top guys, and that's allowed Cookster to clear Will. And to the inside goes Oren and Samurai. There's so many battles. Don't know who to look at as Will slides on the exit there. That's Ridian getting overtaken by Callum. His teammate Oren retakes the lead of the race, but he's got no battery. Samurai back to the inside, takes the lead and makes sure he's in front, but Oren gets the momentum like he did last lap to make it side by side. Samurai blasting the battery he has that Oren didn't, to still hang on to the lead. Wow. As, yeah, Cookster's now going to have a bit of clean air to get a move on. Cookster, who's never had a podium in EXFL Tier 2, best result of 5th in the opening round this season, who's been slowly finishing in the top 10 here and there. A bit unfortunate when it comes to it, to be honest. Yonder gets ahead of Radiant, so he's fully caught the trade. Chaz now with a 3-second time penalty. I was wondering who was going to be the first in this train to get warnings. My money was on either Will or Chaz. And, yeah, Samurai then leads on lap 8. And, well, when we get to around lap 9, 10, 11, that's when the first round of stops potentially could happen, as Oren gets in front of Samurai, goes way too deep, and Oren goes off the track. Samurai retakes the lead. Oren rejoins, still well in front of Chaz. I thought he may have lost a place or two there. Cookster's now 2 seconds behind as Will, and Grush have a moment there as Will's off into the grass and drops to the back of the train. Don't know what happened there. There must have been an incident with the McLaren to put him down to 9th. But yeah, Cookster now needs to wake up those hards and get a move on to close up to the top 3. Otherwise, that 3 seconds of Chaz isn't really going to harm him at all. As Chaz, no, has gone off! The 3 second may not have harmed him. Oren now gets a penalty as well. Action everywhere. You look, every single lap without fail, unfortunately, for Will and Chaz on the same lap. They were 4th and 5th. Now they're 8th and out of the points. And that just leaves the top 2 on their own. Cookster is on the podium now. Wow, Callum's up to 5th. Yonder's up to 6th. And, yeah, this is a, what, 5-car, 6-car train all the way up to the podium. And, yeah, the top 2 in the standings have ran away at the moment. But yeah, Oren has a 3-second time penalty as Will fights Radiant for 7th. How crucial is that going to be for Samurai's chances in this race? He'll be loving the fact of what the race is right now. Yonder is fighting away with Callum now for P5. Started 15th and is 5th. He's made more than, on average, a place per lap. As Radiant has got past Will, who's lost a lot of time on the straight again. I really do not know why. Christian's up into the points. As he's fighting away with Cal, who's also up into the points. Chaz is fighting away with Yannick, who's already made a stop. How far is Yannick off the lead? Yannick was 15 points something, now he's 14.5. Oren putting Samurai under big pressure. Samurai knows he just needs to watch out for his warnings and his tyre wear. And just going to check. No one's got any fuel issues. No. I think I saw someone. Was that someone diving into the pits? Yes, it was. It was Callum. So lap 10. That's a roundabout reasonable lap to pit. As the top 2, before we even get to turn 3, are side by side. I don't know what happened there, but we do know Oren's now in front of Samurai. And come 4 laps from now, it might not even matter at the moment. Oren breaks earlier to get the DRS to the inside line. This is a real scrap. Samurai goes off the track, doing what Oren did a few laps ago. Oren now has the DRS to pull away. Level battery with them. Grush and Cookster also fighting, and Oren now back in the lead. And Grush trying to overtake Cookster. Yonder out of nowhere has just made it 3 wide. He nearly got past the pair of them, but he's got past Grush, and now he sets his eyes on Cookster. Yonder's up to 4th now. Yeah, I do not know what happened with the top 2 in turn 1 there. But Oren's really getting on with it, so Samurai needs to just tag along with him. And if I was Samurai, if Oren pits, you follow him in. Or you maybe undercut him, but you do not let Oren pit before you, I'd say. But look at that front right of Samurai's. It's wearing quite a bit. As into the pit lane goes Grush. And Will stays out. Ridian also follows Grush in. Christian with the time penalty. Samurai blasting his battery well within a second of Oren. So these two carry on. Cookster slowly closing the gap. Those two, the Red Bull and the sister Red Bull, fighting away. Samurai to the inside of Oren. Gets on the power even after mounting the curb. I was going to say Oren surely has better momentum here. And Samurai barely any battery. Even though he has DRS, it's allowing him to fight back at the Aston Martin. Even with no battery, Oren round the outside, still hangs it well. He's pretty confident there at turn 4, is the championship leader. And Yonder has overtaken Cookster, who just for some reason cannot make those hards work as well as the mediums around him, even by lap 11. Yonder, after starting P15, this must be a new record, 11 laps, and he's already on the podium. His teammate Yannick is past Christian, just about. Christian's fighting back to the inside, but the RB round the outside gets in front, and Yannick, after already making one pit stop, is into 7th, and soon it'll probably be 6th. Samurai has nearly lost DRS to Oren. We're on lap 12, so if they really do want to try the one stop, they're not looking too bad. They just got to extend until, I'd say, lap 16. But if they're in now, as that's Chaz, unfortunately, on the straight, who's had another cropper, just like last week, has lit the rear tyres up and gone into the wall. And he's decided to retire on track. It's not really what you want to see. But unfortunately, he's out. And, yeah, we've lost Dead Gun. Don't know how he retired, but that was genuine, I think. Well, it was more stupid, probably. And now we've lost Chaz. As, yeah, Oren has got Samurai out of a second. So Samurai needs to make sure his pace, at least, is still good enough to be within 3 of Oren. But if Oren got a 3 this early in the race, who's to say what will happen by the end? We're only a third of the way done. This has been an action-packed first third of the Austrian Grand Prix. And now only is it starting to settle down a little. But we're only in the calm before the storm, before the pit stops begin. So Oren stays out. So Samurai decides now's the time to pit. So 12 laps on mediums. Will Samurai make the one stop? I really don't know. But if you can get a good outlap, maybe you can undercut Oren or at least get back within a second. So there is Samurai. There is Yannick. And, well, he's still behind Cal at the moment. Will's a bit on his own at the moment. So there's Yannick into turn 1. There's Samurai. And there is Callum. Callum, who pitted a lap or 2 earlier, has nearly, or has he, undercut Samurai. So Oren's teammate now finds himself wheel to wheel with the driver he was fighting away with. But Samurai, using his battery, is back in front of Callum. Callum will have DRS, but I think Samurai might just be in front, especially with that exit from Callum. So Samurai lives to fight away. Yannick is now in front of Callum. So Yannick is 5 seconds ahead of Samurai. So after all the first stops, Yannick will lead by about 4 or 5 seconds. The two Mercedes having a fight for P9. Ridian versus Seb. That front right of Seb's has seen better days, certainly. So Oren decides to stay out. Is he going for the one stop? His tyres don't actually look too bad, so maybe he is. So that might be his only saving grace. Samurai, his tyre wear may have just cost him this race. Because if he isn't trying the one stop, when I know I said 2 stop is probably the better option, the one stop can still gain you 20 seconds if you can make it work. Cookster fighting away with Yonder then. Goes deep. Just stays on the track. Fighting with the sister Red Bull. And now Yonder will get the DRS. He's trying to blast his battery. Cookster's got plenty more. But they still result in going wheel to wheel. Yonder to the inside. Stays in front of Cookster. A bit of a lock-up into T4. But he gets a good switchback on Yonder and stays in front. Great racing between the two. Will, unfortunately, falling ever further behind. His front right is certainly towards the end of its life. Samurai using those fresh hards to good effect. He's nearly within 2 seconds of Yannick. So Oren stays out again. So it really does seem like he's going to go for the one stop. And, oh, I was going to say, and Yonder. Considering Cookster's only made those hards last 15 laps, I'm going to assume Cookster and Yonder are going for the 2 stop as well. Maybe not Yonder. I don't know about Yonder, but Cookster, only 15 laps. He's certainly going to have to do 2 stints of mediums. And I don't know if that was the best choice, because Cookster was running in a good place. If he could make those hards last another 5 laps or so, as Christian gets a 3rd time penalty, as a Samurai is now only a second behind Yannick, as I think Cal pitted, didn't he? Yes. Unfortunately, Louis still not here. I think Seb just pitted as well. What has happened to Grush? What on earth has happened to Grush? How many pit stops has he made? 2? I completely missed that. Oh, just don't get poles anymore, and maybe his race will be better. Samurai gets in front of Yannick then. Wow, there's a bit of a difference between however old Yannick's tyres are compared to Samurai's, as Yonder gets past Cookster after they've made a pit stop. Cookster trying another switch but can't get past him. And yeah, just seems whenever Gurush starts on pole, it just doesn't go his way in the race, unfortunately. He's going to need to hope for some sort of safety car later on to save his race. I do not know why he's made 2 stops. But yeah, that's a real shame. So, Samurai is only 12.5 seconds off Oren. If Oren makes 1 stop now and then Samurai pits again, could Samurai chase Oren down? Doesn't even need to chase him down per se. He just needs to be within 3 seconds of Oren. Samurai is blitzing the field at the moment. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix. The only man in the 7s, and he's nearly in the 6s for that matter. And yeah, this is really hotting up Will with a penalty. As it kicks me out of my party. Right, yeah, so Toby and Gurush, 2 of the top guys in the championship, 13th and 14th. They have not been having a great time at the moment. I have no idea if Louis back in the session. Seb hasn't really gone his way. Christian's in the points, but like I said, he's got pens. That, considering it's lap 16, there isn't actually that many penalties going around. Who knows what the order will be come this time. And so Oren, yeah, this is what I thought. You have to make it at least to lap 16. Wow. To make the 1 stop possible. You go 16 laps on mediums, you go 20 laps on hards, and Oren has managed to nurture those mediums amazingly. 2 laps 16, he'll put the hard compound tyres on. He will go to the end of the Grand Prix, I believe, on those hard compound tyres. And there is a bit of a train behind him of 3 cars, which he'll like to be ahead of, but I believe he's going to be in the mix of those cars. Ridian goes ahead, then Yonder, then Cookster. So he's behind all of them as Callum now gets past Yannick for P2. So Oren's got some work to do. He's nearly 9 seconds off Samurai, who was a second behind him, meaning when Samurai pitted on lap, 12? Within the span of 5 laps, he's nearly gained pretty much 10 seconds, meaning he was on average 2 seconds a lap quicker than Oren around just around a 66-second lap. So Oren's got a lot of work to do. He knows Samurai will probably pit again, and for Samurai's sake, he will hope Oren takes a while to get past these guys, and then he can put the tyres on and try and do what he was doing, gain 2 seconds a lap, be within 3 seconds of Oren, may even catch him. But yeah, we will see. Samurai just getting on with it. He started on mediums, he's put the hards on, now he has complete option of what he chose for the tyre allocation, as going off there is Yonder, fighting away with Ridian, and this is just going to hold Oren up even more if he can't make his way past these 3 quick enough. But yeah, it depends if Samurai picked balanced or harder, which will be his final set of tyres, either medium or hard, in the final stint. At the moment, he's picked hard, meaning he's going to have to go long into this stint. But he does need a bit of a deficit to Oren. He can't just pit within the next couple laps. So Gridian going defensive on Yonder. But Yonder will get a switch back, and I think he's just got a bit of a boost from the Red Bull there. But Cookster's come off worse, and that'll allow Oren clean by on the Red Bull as Yonder is in front of Ridian. Ridian sending it to the inside, very late. But at the moment, it's managed to get him at least alongside wheel to wheel. And Oren trying to sneak in the middle of these 2, but Yonder still has the momentum to go to the inside. And Oren also trying to go to the inside on Ridian. And will he make the move stick to the inside? Yes, he will. So Oren's already cleared 2 in 1 lap. But Ridian's blasting his battery to fight back at Oren, who's now blasting his battery to stay in front of Ridian, who's below 10%. So he was going to lose out in that drag fight. And now Oren with the DRS to Yonder, who doesn't have DRS, who goes off, should be able to clear him. But Yonder's going to probably stick it in none or medium. So Oren's not wasting any time and overtakes Yonder into turn 1. Yannick still sticking with Callum, 5 seconds now behind Samurai. So Oren needs to get a move on, but I'm sure this was Yonder's plan all along. Let Oren get ahead, and now I can get back in front with the battery. And Ridian and Cookster watching this unfold. Cookster late on the brakes, round the outside, goes wide. Ridian doesn't even give him any space, even if he made the corner. So those 2 are side by side. Yonder was side by sides, back in front of Oren now. And now Ridian is flying past Cookster. They're really getting their elbows out. And it looks like Yannick is going to lose DRS. So Yannick, who's had those tyres on for 16 laps, if he has another set of hard compound tyres, he can pit maybe next lap. If he has only another set of mediums, he has to go, I'd say, another 4 laps. But we'll see what Yannick does, if this is either going to be a real help to him or not. staying out again. So yeah, Yonder stays in front of Oren for now. The gap was nearly 9 seconds. It stayed at 9 seconds. If anything, it's gotten a bit bigger. So Oren does the same thing for the second lap in a row. He has a bit more battery to play with this time. In fact, they have the same amount of battery. Christian gets his 4th penalty of the race. So Oren knows he'll probably be overtaken by Yonder here. That's why Yonder's not blasting, because he knows Oren's going to try and get him back on the next straight. Unless Oren can try to the inside and then blast away. But they have caught Yannick, which is actually going to help Yonder if he's within DRS, but he doesn't have it. So this could play a bit better into Oren's hands if he gets the move done on Yonder, who breaks a bit later than the Aston Martin, makes slight contact, but Oren knows the game, and he hangs it around the outside and stays in front. Maybe in an RB sandwich, but at the moment he's still looking pretty good. And RB versus Aston in the constructors' standings are 2nd and 3rd, 4th and 5th, as they're still fighting. Oren round the outside of Yannick. Yannick's tyres may be ancient, Oren's may be new, still doesn't make it any less of a great pass, and Yonder goes straight past Yannick, who lets him through, so good teammate play from them. So Oren's up to 3rd then, and the gap has stayed exactly the same to Samurai. These few laps where Oren could have really taken a bite into that gap to Samurai, he has spent trying to fight with these guys, and it still may not be over, because Yonder's still fighting. Yonder, who's always the pacifist, recently is getting his elbows out, and it's great to see. So Yonder to the inside, and Oren tried to break early, I think, for DRS. Didn't work. Oren with the switchback on Yonder, gets in front, but Yonder has the DRS. Christian's retired in the pit lane, and Yonder will stay in front of the Aston, who's causing him quite the headache at the moment, as Callum's watching this all unfold behind him. And, well, if Yannick played a team game, maybe Callum can for Oren as well. They're still fighting, are they? Oren switching on Yonder once again. What a great fight between Aston and RB. And Oren is now in front. But as Yonder now gets a penalty. After all that, no! Yonder has lost it on the exit. I was wondering, it didn't look like he went off. He fully went off into the wall. He did what Chaz did. That's who's that in the pits? Yannick Pitts, and I believe they'll be expecting both RBs into the pits after all that. I was going to say, does Callum drop and give his teammate DRS to help against Yonder? Doesn't need it anymore. And, that's so unfortunate. And, well, his streak of converting, starting at the back to really great points finishing positions may come to an end today. He might still scrap for a point or so, but that has just let the top 10 actually separate for the first time in this race, I believe. The only one within a second of anyone was Yannick Teridia, but now that's gone. So I think the only one will be Oren when he closes up to Callum. So we breathe as we head into the final third of the race soon. Wow. So Grush is back up into the points. Toby is where he was last week. Samurai, still the exact same gap to Oren. When Samurai pits, he's going to be near Cal. Let's have a look at tyre life, as that's... whoa! That was not orchestrated brilliantly by the two Aston Martins with Callum and Oren. That could have ended so badly, as Cookster follows Callum. And only 7 laps on mediums. So, yeah, I guess he wants to pit pretty early. Where is Yannick going to be in all this? He's put mediums on, and he's got 14 or so laps to go. 13 if you ignore this. Penalties are coming in now as Yannick's mediums are going to struggle to the end, but Cookster and Callum have also put the mediums on. Here come the two Mercedes to join the fight as well. Ridian's on pretty new hards. He's caught Seb, who I'm sure will have to pit again, and they're in the middle. Callum will be 5th at worst, so his strategy's actually worked out really well for the Aston Martin. And well, there's the two Mercedes swapping. Should be fine. Ridian's in front, and Yannick is in front of Cookster. Wow, this race has just had so many curveballs thrown at it. Oren is slower than Samurai at the moment. They're practically lapping the same, but it's amazing that he's not gaining with 4 laps fresher. But the key thing is Samurai probably will have to pit again. Can he catch Oren? And Will's up there in 3rd. He's gone a bit undetected at the moment after all his issues in the first bit. How long is this? 8 laps. So he pitted on lap 16, didn't he? So who knows? Maybe Will's also trying the one stop. And at the moment, if he's doing the same as Oren, I mean, he's going to really struggle to get those to the end, knowing his tyre, where considering how many punctures he's had, Qatar and whatnot. Yeah, this race is far from over. I don't really know what to put it on, because we have Oren and Willow have penalties. We have both Mercedes on pens. We have Yonder on pens. Christian retired, so yeah, that's 5 people with pens. And Oren's just pulling further. Oren is losing time to Samurai to keep it short. Cal's up there in 4th as well, but he's under pressure now from Callum. Callum versus Callum. We've seen that a couple of times this season. We saw it a lot a few years ago. And Callum's up to 5th. This is certainly Callum's best race so far this season. And he's at the moment getting a P4. Maybe he could even get a podium. I know he got a podium in the first race. He kind of inherited a few positions from those in front making mistakes. But right now, he started, where did he start? 10th? He started 10th, didn't he? Yeah. This has been a great race so far from the Aston. And now he'll try and chase down Will. So, Samurai must have made a mistake or some kind, because Oren gained nearly a second on him there. Alright, we breathe. It's getting a bit cloudy, actually, around Spielberg. But, yeah, it shouldn't rain anytime soon. Yannick and Cookster. I'm sure their race could have been a lot better, maybe, without the battles. I think that's let them down a bit slightly. I really thought Yannick may have got a podium with his early stops and whatnot, as that in the background is Cookster flying past Seb. Seb, who was the first ever driver to hit 140 races in Tier 2 last week, this being his 141st. Now the all-time leader in races entered, points, podiums. He's definitely an all-time great in Tier 2. But right now, I think he's just enjoying himself. Maybe not this race in particular, being down in 9th with a penalty, but it's still great to see him still here. And now Oren's deciding to push a little as Samurai's in the pits. I was wondering why the gap just suddenly went down to 5 seconds. So, 10 to go. Samurai has put medium compound tyres on. And where will he fare out? Will gets another time penalty. And this will be perfect if he can get out in front of the Haas. And the only position he'll lose is to Oren. Samurai exits the pit lane. There is Will. And Will hasn't really got that much battery. So I don't think he should pose too much of a threat. Unless he gets nostalgic about a certain Japanese corner. So, 10 laps to go. 10 seconds for Samurai to chase down as Cookster and Yannick fight away. As Toby now gets a time penalty. 10 laps to go. Samurai's got 10 seconds to chase down Oren. He doesn't even need to chase that whole margin. He just needs to gain 7 seconds in 10 laps. He knows this is one of those crucial races in the bid for the championship. You either lose 7 points to the leader or you gain 7 points. A 14-point swing deficit, and he knows how crucial that is at this stage in the season. 30 points behind. It will either go down to 23 or up to 37 as we approach the halfway stage. He knows how important these next 10 laps are, and he's getting on with it as it's nearly down to 9 seconds, and we don't even know how many warnings there are on each. So, like I said, game on. Callum closing up to Will, so right now Callum will get that podium, which is great. Ridian has put in a bit of a late charge recently. Where did he put? Yeah, he's using those hards pretty well. I think he's closing on Callum more than Callum's closing on Will at the moment. We have yellows, and that's Toby who's gone off. Seb's out in the pit lane, though, unfortunately. And that's a bit of a shock, considering Seb could have got some points. But that will promote Grush and Cow and maybe Toby up into the points. Yeah, Toby has not had a great couple races, and he now heads into the pit lane. 8.5 seconds now. Samurai, I think 100% has been the quickest today in terms of race pace. Oren mentioned last week in Spain, of the top 10, he had the 3rd slowest, fastest lap. Right now, he just needs to make sure he looks after those tyres to get them to the end. He tried the 1-stop, where the 2-stop has been more favourable around this track, and only this track on the entire game. Not even just the game, the whole game, yeah. So, Samurai gets it to 8 seconds, give or take. 6.9, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Someone else was doing a 6, weren't they? He's just in front of Cookster. Cookster also, a bit of a missed opportunity, unfortunately, through no fault of his own. He really could have had pole position. I'm fully sure of that, if it wasn't for Christian holding him up. But he's got on with it. He's put his head down, and he's still looking for maybe a top 5, maybe even a top 4 finish, and he'll still give it his all. Same with Yannick. They're still pushing on. 7.5 seconds now for Samurai. This is looking pretty good. for the Williams driver. Oren, the only driver this season to take multiple race victories. Of the 8 we've had so far, he's won exactly half of them. And 4 wins to his name, and 4 other drivers have 1 win. Samurai is one of those who won spectacularly in the land of the rising sun a few weeks ago in Japan, and a few weeks later in Austria. He's fighting back. He wants to take the fight back, because this time last season was when his name started to disappear in the conversation of fighting for the title, but he is still not giving up. He hasn't actually gained as much on this lap as previously. He's still done pretty much nearly the exact same lap, just a tenth or so off. But he's still gaining nonetheless, and he's got plenty of life left. So, the battle for the podium is boiling, because now we have Will, Callum, Ridian, Cookster and Yannick. 5 cars, and only one can stand on the top, well, the third step of the podium. And at the moment, it'll probably go to Callum, depending how easily he can get past the Haas. And Will brakes sizably to the inside, and Callum sees it coming. He has to go off the track to avoid. Typical racing from the Haas, who's got the exit quite scruffily, but he's got DRS to stay in front. And this is costing Callum time. It's letting Ridian, Cookster and Yannick close up. Yeah, that was a bit on the limit. Kind of unfair from the Haas to not give Callum any room there. But we dive phrase onto the next lap. Callum will try again. 6.5 seconds now. So Samurai's gained once again another second, and at this rate, he will be fine. Again, he doesn't need to catch Oren. He just needs to be within 3 seconds. And considering he was 10 behind on lap 27, he is gaining on an average of 1 second a lap. He just needs to make sure those mediums have enough life left by the end. But he keeps going, and we'll see. Will has saved a truckload of battery. And Ridian's now joined the fight, but he has a time pen. So Callum doesn't need to worry too much. It's only Cookster and Yannick that could spoil his afternoon. So once again, he goes to the outside. The Haas, once again, will brake to the inside. But this time round, he's left him room. And Callum on the power will blast his battery. However, Will has DRS and a bunch of battery to fight him. And now the fight begins. This is proper. And to the inside, the Haas back in front of the Aston. And Ridian just trying to pick his moment. So, 6 laps to go then. We have yellows. That is Yonder, unfortunately, who's off out of the points. And it will not be, for once, starting at the back into the points for the RB, who's been lapped by the 2 leaders. Samurai, 5.7 now behind Oren. He needs to gain 2.7 seconds more. Cookster now gets a time penalty, so Yannick is looking pretty good. He was so distraught after getting a really late time penalty a few races ago that cost him his 2nd podium in Tier 2. At the moment, he'll be looking good for 4th. So Will, once again, looking really good with battery. And I don't see a world in where we exit turn 4 on this lap with Callum ahead. Because Will stay in front, and it's all fair and whatnot, as Ridian's found himself alongside Callum. And I was going to say Will has DRS, but I think they were level at the detection point. So that's allowed Ridian to gain some ground. And to the inside goes the Mercedes. Ridian parks it on the apex beautifully. Callum now gets the switchback, fighting away with the Haas, and he's now in front. What a move from Ridian. Double overtake to get himself into P3 at the moment. He'll be gutted with that time penalty because Callum just finds himself exactly where he was. Look at this. 5 cars all in one shot. It's great to see. So, 5 to go, and Samurai's 5 seconds behind. He needs a couple more seconds. Is he gaining enough now? Because I'm pretty sure without that penalty, Oren would be fine, but he does have the penalty. So Samurai just needs to keep going. He's blasting absolutely everything. He's giving it everything. 6 cars, because we've got the lapped car of Louis there. So, we go again. Will tags the back of Callum. And that puts him alongside, and now he backs off because that would have been a push to pass, and that puts him under pressure from Cookster, blasting his battery to get past the Haas, who's still got plenty of battery. So he brakes late, and he's going to run into Callum. Oh, you just knew that was going to happen. All sorts of mayhem unfolding, and now he pulls over to let them through, and threading the needle goes Yannick past Will and Cookster, and Callum has now dropped behind Yannick, meaning Yannick will now be on the podium. Once again, the Haas showing awful displays of driving racecraft that's dropped him now to the back. He needs to learn more what a brake is around certain corners. So Ridian has actually been freed up a little to Yannick in terms of tyre life. His hards may even be better than Yannick's mediums at the moment. We will see if Ridian gets this podium or not, or has Yannick done enough. I think the gap stayed the same between the top two as well. So has Samurai just pushed a bit too hard on those mediums? He's not gaining enough as it stands now on Oren. So Callum versus Yannick for the final position on the podium. Yonder's left. Don't know if that was his own choice. But here's the key thing. If Yannick and Callum fight too much, that'll free up Ridian to get a 3-second gap. Whoa! Will's not the only one who's just missed their braking zone into turn 3, because that was Cookster nearly running into the back of Callum. At the moment, will still pick up 7th, because Cal's a bit way behind in 8th. And yeah, Grush will finish 9th, and Toby will be 10th at the moment. And the gap is still the same between Oren and Samurai. The only thing that could probably change is if Oren gets another time penalty. But I think he's fine for now. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Penalty. And yeah, since he got the pen, he knew exactly what he needed to do. He needed to lock in and make sure he didn't pick up any more warnings. So Oren will be fine with 3 to go. Just to hang on, Samurai needs 2 more seconds on him, or it's just going to slip away. He's got to give it everything. Yonder joins back. Right, 2.3 seconds now. Ridian will be hoping and praying that these two fight. Very similar battery levels for Yannick and Callum. Cookster's got more than both of them combined. Will is still on the back of the Red Bolt, blasting all his battery. Switches to the inside. Brakes this time round. Cookster brakes later and to the inside. Will barges past as Cookster was sliding there. Is Will going to give the place back? I don't know. He went to the right, and that does allow Cookster to get close to the Haas. He brakes slightly later, makes contact with his front left axle, and Will is ahead now. Obviously, it won't matter in the end at the moment with the penalties. His front right is screaming, and I think now Oren's starting to pull away from Samurai. 2 laps to go then, and Oren, who is the record holder for most wins in the history of Tier 2. He beat it a couple weeks ago. He then went one better. With his 13th victory last week, he's on for win number 14, and for the first time ever, 3 wins in a row, as Will gets a 3rd penalty. And it's something Oren's never done. Even in Season 9, he got back-to-back victories 4 times, and then one just on its own. And then he got back-to-back victories earlier in the season. He's on back-to-back victories as it stands, but right now, he will be on for a hat-trick of wins in 3 weeks, as that is Callum to the inside of Yannick. And Ridian is over 3 seconds ahead of these two now. So while these two fight for what was going to be 3rd, it's now 4th because Ridian's over 3 seconds ahead. And they're still fighting away. Yannick to the inside on Callum. RB versus Aston. They know how crucial every point is in this championship. And with Yonder not scoring any points today, RB need every point they can get to still hold on to the lead of the constructors. But as it stands now, as we start the final lap, it looks like Aston are going to take the lead in both championships. Samurai has tried all he can today. At one point it did look like it was possible with the pace, but the mediums just didn't hang on the way he wanted to. And we'll get all the answers later on. But Oren has survived for now. These two have been a class above the rest today. With all the squabbling that happened to let them go away with those who were 3rd, 4th and 5th making mistakes. But yeah, the only mistake Oren's made today is maybe just leaving the track a few times. As Cookster now gets a 2nd time penalty, so it's actually not going to matter. However, we're not done with the fights. And Yannick's still closing up on Callum. Looks like Ridian's got this podium in the bag, but Yannick and Callum are still fighting for 4th on track. And now Yannick tries a switch, but he gets a tag from Cookster. Someone who's been fighting all races, just maybe not helped him too much on the last lap. He was trying a switchback, but that has maybe just helped Callum breathe a sigh of relief. His teammate is exiting the final couple corners, sliding around. Oren, it's going to be 3 wins in a row around Austria now. Oren wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Samurai comes home behind him in 2nd place. A valiant effort, but it wasn't quite enough. And Ridian will finish the podium, returning after leaving a few weeks ago as a reserve. Another podium for GXL Dragon. Great stuff for the Mercedes. And we'll see Callum come home for P4. Look how much time they lost to Ridian at the end. So Callum finishes 4th, Yannick from 15th, gained 10 places to be 5th, Cookster 6th, and Will cross the line. And I think he might actually lose a place because of all his messing around, to Cal, who's going to pick up 7th. I don't know why he did all that. But yeah, so Cal gets 7th in the end there ahead of the Haas. Grush, once again, a very disappointing race, unfortunately. He will finish 9th. And Toby will manage to pick up a point, but it's certainly not the race he was after. Louis will probably get disqualified, and Yonder, unfortunately, finished 12th. And either way, no points for them. So yeah, Oren, 3 wins in a row then. Italy, Spain, and now Austria. I was trying to think of the tracks when he was crossing the line. But that is 3 on the trot then for Oren, who's just not really putting a foot wrong when it matters. Right, there we go. A very action-packed Austrian Grand Prix. I'd say the first half was slightly better than the second, because the first, 11 laps, so much happened. Every lap without fail was crazy. And then the second half was more to do with strategy and time pens, but there was still a lot of battles and strategy playing out. So yeah, overall, still a very good race. And next week will be the British Grand Prix. Right, let's get the top 3 in the party. Hope you all enjoyed that race as well. Right. Where's Oren? He's already online. He knows exactly what to do. Right. Oren. Samurai. Where's Samurai gone? There he is. And Ridian. Right, we have the top 3 joining the party. Yannick saying GG to Callum for that last lap battle. I guess he's not too annoyed they lost the podium because of that. Right, showroom. We have 2nd and 3rd joining at the moment. I'm sure Aaron will join in a minute. Right. Samurai, are you there, mate?
Yes, yeah.
Hello, have you included your audio?
Yeah.
Great. Ridian, are you there, mate?
Maybe.
Have you included your audio?
Maybe.
Alright, cool. Yeah, we'll let Oren join in a minute or so. So, we'll start off, we'll go backwards. Ridian, so, you left the league a few weeks ago. Let me just go to Mercedes, there we go. You left the league a few weeks ago, and then only a few weeks later, you decide, I'll come back as a reserve. You went in the Mercedes today with Seb. It was very straightforward, your team choice, clearly. But yeah, you qualified. Where'd you qualify? You didn't make the flag.
No,
I saw.
I was doing bets with Oren and Seb. Just how late can you leave it? And it turns out 1 minute and 10 is too late.
So you qualified? Was it 9th or something? 8th?
Nope, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. So actually a top 10 start.
Oh shit!
I think did it? a few places lower, and maybe it could have been the win today. But yeah, you were slowly just making your way up a bit here and there. You were up to 5th, I think, by the first third and whatnot. Just take us through what your thoughts were on the strategy today, and when you got the penalty, what mind frame were you in? Did you think it was going to cost you a lot, or head down and whatnot? Just how was the race from your perspective? How do you think it played out?
Well, from the start, it was kind of just like I wasn't really racing for much because obviously I've nothing to lose at this point. But yeah, start, I did have a horrible start, and kind of benefited a small bit from the virtual safety car. Had a perfect view for that. I will put that in the chat later on. And yeah. So after like that, I wanted to do the pit on lap 9 and Callum pit as well. I decided not to because I didn't think the tires would like last that long, which helped in the end. And yeah, so like then I thought I decided lap 10, which is like what I think is the best, and then I decided to go more in the undercut, seeing how much Callum gained from me. And then the penalty, I was just following Seb, and he did the exact same thing. So I got the penalty from it. I did lift just to make sure I could got it removed. So I always had the always just had the idea that I could have got it removed in the end game. But yeah, I wasn't thinking I could get a podium for like forever. I just thought Callum was in like the prime position, and then Will just started just like battling Callum a lot, and I could just sneak on through, and then yeah, I just ended up here, and then I just look behind me at turn 3. There's just like chaos. So then I knew at like lap 34, I think there was this like huge little kerfuffle in turn 3, and then at that point I knew like the offset between the hards and mediums were like quite obviously starting to set in with Yannick and Cookster. And I saw Cookster had a pen as well, so it was like only then I kind of realized I had a podium. So like those last 2 laps, I was just pushing like so much. I only did 5 laps of practice today, so I barely knew how good I was going to be. Surprisingly well. Yeah, there's no catching Samurai and Oran. They just did like amazing races, and their pace is just really good. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think once Grush started to fall a bit further behind, it allowed Samurai and Oran to pull away from 3rd onwards. Everyone was squabbling. There was I think it was when Chaz lost it that separated them, and then they just didn't look back. So yeah, another podium, great result on another. It seems like whenever you leave the league, whenever you return, bang, P3, just another podium.
It's always just P3, isn't it?
Don't take that the wrong idea. Don't leave after every 2 races and then.
Do I still keep my points from the start of the season?
No, unfortunately you don't, because it's been more than a week or so. But I guess you could, in your mind. It has been two races since you left.
Shit,
yeah,
it was 1.
Unfortunately.
In
your mind, at the end, just add on your points you scored and see where you are at the end.
I finished 43 points behind Oran. However, if that ever happens, then yeah, we'll be filing a formal lawsuit to get those points back.
Yeah, very well done. Obviously, yeah, you saw Yannick and Callum fighting behind you, and the gap that was around 2 point whatever went to nearly 6 seconds by the end. So you maybe even could have got a second penalty and would have been fine. How was the tyre wear on your end with the 2-stop?
Medium was horrific. Like after lap 9ish, I was just drifting the entire time. But then hards are really good. So like I decided to try that undercut in the final stint. And it ended up working pretty well. And the tyres were 50% in the final stint, so they went barely even in the 40s probably. So as the fuel went down, tyre just got even better and better and better.
Fair enough. So yeah, podium today. What are your thoughts on the British Grand Prix for next week?
England, boo. In reality, I think last time we did that, I used a ChatGPT setup, and I got a on-track podium. So that's something. But yeah, I've never had good top pace at Silverstone. So it's just another one of those challenges you have to just be a head down and try and figure out how to get better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the podiums today, Wales, Hungary, and Ireland. So. Yeah, those from the UK need to step it up for next week. But yeah, well done today. And we'll move on to our P2 man. So yeah, well done, Riddian. Samurai, P2 today, mate. You gave it absolutely everything. So you qualified second, I believe, right?
No, third.
Third. Who was second? It was
Grush.
Oran. Oh, Oran. Yeah, Grush.
First.
Yeah. Yeah, Grush. Okay, so you qualified third. It was a simple start from you, I think. There was not too much drama. And then by lap 4, you managed to take the lead. So all 3 of the top 3 led at some stage in the first few laps. And you had a great fight with Oren after that. You just kept trading places with him. A lot of battles throughout turn 1, 3, and 4. It was great to see. Just take us through the rest of the race from your perspective, mainly with the tyres and your strategy.
Uh, well, my strategy was to stop, obviously, and I mean, I can also say that from lap 10, 11, the mediums are wasn't working. So when I pitted in lap 12, before the lap in lap 11, I hesitated a moment because I didn't know if it's time to pit now or one lap later. So I lost a bit there to Oran, and yeah, from there I pitted, and I didn't know Oran was on a 2-stop or a 1-stop, but 2 laps later I understood. So I was just pushing all the way. Yeah, I'm just not happy with the second place right now.
Yeah, no, that's fully understandable because I did point out a couple of times. I think you were the quickest today. You looked so good, and whenever you made a pit stop, you were absolutely flying on both times. When you came out first time, you caught Yannick so quickly, and then the second stop, you were 10 seconds behind and got it down to, well, half that before the gap started to stay the same a bit. Yeah, I know it must be quite frustrating. Do you think you pitted lap 12, I think, was it?
Yeah.
Lap 11, 12? Yeah, Oren, because I think I said this last week, I pointed out, if you want to do the one stop, you've got to go 16-20. You've got to make it to lap 16 on mediums, and then you can do the last 20 on hards. Was there no chance you could have made your mediums last to lap 16?
No chance. I think
Mm.
I think it was on 66% on
Right.
lap 12, and I had to pit.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing. Do you think instead of going medium, hard, medium, if you went medium, medium, hard, that way in the middle stint, because when Oren had to get through all the traffic, he came out the pits nearly 9 seconds behind you, and after he cleared all the traffic, it was still 9 seconds. Do you think if you were on the mediums at that time, which obviously would have meant you went quicker, there obviously would have been a bigger gap, meaning there would have been a smaller gap by the end, and on the hards, which wouldn't have fallen off like the mediums, do you think that could have been a slightly better strategy than the one you picked today?
Yes, I think yes, because I planned I will be stuck in traffic, but there was no traffic at the time, so yeah, I think that's flung my whole race.
Yeah, and it must be very frustrating to just come up so short of the win on Oren. But you gave it your all, and you should still be happy with that. You tried your very best. There were great battles at the start, and it's great to see you still fighting for these wins. And yeah, maybe next week or hopefully the week after that in Hungary in a fortnight's time. But it's still another great podium finish. A lot of points.
Yes.
For you and for your team. And, well, I'm sure you had front row seats to this at the start, but you know when, in the first 3 laps, when Garouche and Oren were fighting for the win, I'm just reading the chat now. It looks like Garouche wasn't quite happy with Oren, because I saw in the first couple laps, Oren apparently was making a lot of attempted moves on Garouche, a lot, in the first couple laps. I don't know if you saw any of that.
I don't. So when we fought, he was. I don't think we got our elbows out. So I think we were both respectfully to each other. And no, I mean I seen one from Chaz or maybe Grush. I don't remember, but Chaz or Grush sent it on turn 2, and. Yeah, I just I don't remember. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, I mean all the battles you got involved in today were perfectly fine. It's just I noticed in the corner of my eye on the first lap or two, Oren sent it quite a lot on Grush, and I don't think Grush was happy. But eventually, Oren got ahead, and then you got ahead of Grush, and then third onwards started to scrap, and then you and Oren were just in a bit of another league today. So yeah, be really proud of the pace. You definitely have it. So that's a very big positive to move forward to. I know it sucks because I was pointing out the whole 7-point swing. 14 overall. I think it was 30, so it could have gone down to 23. It obviously goes up to 37. It's a big gap, but it's not. It's not like it's 70 points or something. So it's still a gap that could be salvaged. We're not even halfway done yet.
Yeah.
But still, well done today. And this whole time I've still been waiting for Oren to join, but he's not. But I think he said his audio wouldn't be able to pick up. So I'll just say a little bit about Oren. Well done to Oren today on winning the Austrian Grand Prix. 3 wins in a row now. All have been only by a few margins.
If I phoned Oren and spoke through my phone, or like have my phone next to my headset, would that work?
Yeah, you could try if you want.
All right, let me give Oren a ring.
Keeping the stream on a few minutes. Oh yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Oren. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah. You're going to do your interview for me. Right, can you ask? I'll translate it to Irish.
Oren, well done today. You've won the Austrian Grand Prix. Congratulations, fantastic stuff. You made the one-stop work. Fantastic pace, excellent tyre wear management. How was the race from your point of view? Everything that went through your head from start to finish.
How was the race from your perspective? And just talk through from start to finish.
Yeah, it was qualifying. I didn't get the lap in that I kind of wanted to, but it was good enough for second, so it's pretty good. The first 10 laps or so was constantly battling with Samurai, Grush, I think Chaz at one point, but yeah, once I seen my tyre wear was kind of half decent, I was trying to keep my tyres alive, but I decided to go for the one stop, and once I had the penalty, I decided to kind of take the gamble on the one stop to try offset myself strategy-wise from others to kind of hopefully make that penalty not, I don't know, basically because I had a penalty, I didn't want to do the same strategy as them.
As all.
Oh yeah, fair enough. If the penalty forced you more into the one stop, that's fully understandable. And wow, it must have been close. What were your tyre wear by the end of the medium and hard stints?
What was your tyre at the end again?
I think they were on 78 or something on the hard, and then on the medium they were about 86, 87.
Wow. So you really took a risk with that. And it must have been quite nerve-wracking in the last 10 laps, seeing Samurai 10 behind, gaining a second every lap. At one point it did look like he would catch, especially with the penalty. What happened in those final 10 laps to make the gap start to equalise a little more? I guess obviously more with Samurai's tyres falling off a bit, but did you have to, at one point in those last 10 laps, did you really have to lock in?
What point in the last 10 laps do you have to lock in and try and manage the gap of the in the last 10 laps to Samurai?
I was kind of just constantly trying to keep the gap as it was. I knew his tyres, well, I didn't know they would die. You kind of told me that. But because I knew the tyres were going to die, I was just kind of trying to hold, good pace until they started to fall off. And near the end, our tyre, our pace was pretty similar in the last 3 laps or so, because the tyres kind of were similar, kind of pace-wise. But yeah, I was definitely stressing when he was catching me a second lap on the first few laps when he was on mediums.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And you just managed to hold off for another brilliant win. So yeah, you extend your advantage. I'm pretty sure after the result today, Aston now lead both championships. So it's looking pretty good. And And yeah, what are your thoughts heading into Silverstone next week?
Aston Martin are leading both standings now, and what's your thoughts going into Silverstone next week?
Yeah, it's pretty good, to be honest. I kind of just hope we get a later race in Silverstone. That would be fun. But I've always been alright around Silverstone, so I kind of hope for a decent result. But with that much of a gap now that I'll have if I keep first, considering that if I don't get a penalty or whatever, I should still be first in the championship anyway. But I'll have that much of a gap to second that I probably will be. I won't take as much of a risk around Silverstone as I did around Austria with the one stop.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, I was saying for today.
Other people.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, fair enough. I was saying for today. 9 races in now, we have not had a drop of rain. So where else than at Silverstone could we maybe do that? But yeah, we will find out all in 1 week's time. So yeah, well done, Oren, on another fantastic win. Well done, Samurai, on another great podium, and well done, Ridian. Welcome back to the podium and the league. So that has been the Tier 2 Season 12 Austrian Grand Prix. We will see you in 1 week's time for the halfway mark, the Tier 2 Season 12 British Grand Prix.